Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be unboxing and using the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor palette. This video isn't sponsored, I just wanted to get into watercolors and these seem like the most appealing to me. They come in this nice green box, and the set that I bought on Amazon came with water brush pens, but you can purchase them without the water brush pens if those don't interest you. As a disclaimer, I am a beginner when it comes to painting traditionally. I haven't really painted traditionally since high school art class, and maybe 1 or 2 times after that. It has been years. High school for me was like 8 years ago, so if I painted in between then, it was pretty much just acrylic paint. So I will be reviewing this with a beginner's lens, and I'll be letting you know how I felt about these as a beginner. That being said, I can't really compare these to other watercolors because I have not used those. Maybe in a future video when I get other watercolors I can do a comparison video, but this video is just kind of my perspective on these watercolors without any bias towards other watercolors. From what I know from watching other people review this product, these watercolors are different from Western watercolors because of the binding I believe it's made from. I noticed while painting that I could go very opaque when I wanted to and also transparent when I wanted to by just adding water, obviously. And for example, I was able to use the white in this palette pretty well. When I messed up on one of her eyes, I just waited for the eye to dry, and then I put the white paint over it with minimal water, and it covered up pretty well. And I'm not sure, again, I don't know, I'm a beginner, but I do believe from hearing other people that that's not necessarily something that you can do with other watercolors all the time. So I thought that was a pretty cool benefit of these watercolors. My overall experience with using these watercolors is pretty positive. I enjoyed using this palette. The painting that you're seeing right now is the 3rd painting I created with this palette. The first one I did not finish because it was just turning out really badly because of the fact that it was the first time I was using watercolors in forever. And yeah, it didn't turn out well. I think part of it was the paper, part of it was my color choices. It was a hot mess and I gave up on it. So the second painting I did was more of a finished painting, but I still wasn't 100% happy with it. So I decided to create another one. I still made mistakes with this one as well, but you know what? I like it overall. I think the color choices came out well. I think that I was able to clean up any major mistakes that I made. Overall, I'm really happy that I bought these. Originally, I was very intimidated by watercolors. It's the one medium that I didn't really mesh with in high school, so I never really tried it again, but I figured with my experience with drawing and sketching that I've developed over the last couple of years, maybe doing a watercolor piece wouldn't be so bad because at least the sketch would be there, there'd be a foundation there that I can work off of, and then as long as I go slowly and take my time and have patience, I figured eventually I would get enough practice to complete a painting that I liked. I've started a gouache painting, and I figured since I liked acrylics, and I know gouache is different from acrylics, but I figured since I liked acrylics, maybe I would like gouache. And I haven't really practiced with it enough to say if I like it or not, but I will say The reason why I got these is because I was thinking, my sketch looks good. I wish that the gouache didn't completely cover it up. And with watercolors, you can, go in lightly and use that sketch as your foundation. So that is why I decided to go for watercolors instead of continuing practicing gouache a lot. I'll probably keep practicing with gouache eventually, but it's on the back burner for now, and I think I'm going to work on my watercolor skills first. As for the set itself, there are a lot of things that I like about it. I like how many colors there are. I had a lot of variety to mix with, while at the same time not mixing too many, because I've been told through YouTube videos that you don't want to mix too many or else the colors will be a little bit more desaturated and it'll get muddy. So I was glad that I had at least a lot of options, and the color choices are very nice. They're very saturated and pigmented, but not to any extreme point, and with enough water it comes out a very nice light color. As for the watercolors themselves, it's really nice and like a good texture, so it was really easy to use. I can't really think of any cons with this. I guess the only con is that the box is pretty big, so it is a little bit more difficult to take around with you, but you can always take the pans out of the box. If you know what colors that you want to use, you could take a few out, or you could just take the primary colors out and take them around with you, and there you go. Yeah, the size isn't really something that bothered me too much, and it's an easy fix if you do need a little bit more space on your desk. My final thoughts on watercolor painting overall are that I am pleasantly surprised by how much I did enjoy using the watercolors. I was worried that it was going to be really hard and I was going to mess up a lot, and like I said earlier in the video, I did have 2 attempts that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted them to, which is, predictable when you are trying out a new medium, but it really wasn't as bad as I maybe expected it to be, and I was able to come out with a nice character design that I liked, and the colors overall look really nice together. There were parts in the beginning where I was in the quote-unquote ugly stage of the painting, which is really hard for me because I'm impatient and I just want it to look good now. But after I put the line art on there, it really did turn out a lot better than I thought, and although I do have to work on my line art skills because having control of the pens and even the paintbrushes to do line art is not my specialty right now, but it does kind of help get through that ugly stage in my opinion, because even with digital art, when you don't have line art at first, if you have line art at all, some paintings look good without line art, but my paintings definitely depend on line art, so when you take it out and you see like, that's just how it is sometimes. Anyway, overall, the experience was really relaxing. I'm really enjoying traditional art because it gives me this relaxing feeling. I think reasons why I veer away from it sometimes is just because it does take patience, and I just think of all the steps that I have to do to get to a final piece, and I'm like, it's too much. But it's really not that bad. It's probably the same amount of steps that you have to do in a digital art. It just, I don't know. In my head, I'm like, oh no, it's so much work, and I have to do the sketch, I have to do the painting, I have to do the line art, and yeah. So anyway, I do enjoy painting. I will be painting more often. And let me know if you liked this painting video from me, if you liked the drawing that I did. If you're an experienced watercolor painter, please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you and your thoughts on my painting or your thoughts on watercolors in general, and maybe suggestions for other watercolors for me to try. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you, and I will see you in the next video. See you later.